Hello guys, welcome back to another video in which I learned something new or something stupid, probably. This time I'll be learning how to score 8 bands in Ielts. Now, how can I tell you this? Because I have scored 8 bands in Ielts. This is the DRF form. So IELTS stands for Indian English Language Testing System. So IELTS is a test which you give when you want to study abroad or work abroad. It's used for checking your proficiency in the language, how well you speak or understand English. Now, one main thing, IELTS is scored out of 9 and not out of 10, and I scored 8 out of 9, not out of 10, which is for me a very decent score. Actually, it's a very good score for me considering my educational background, which is I have studied from Central School, Kendriya Vidyalaya, ONGC. Now, Central schools are not really known for their flamboyant English, and I was so bad at English that I did not wanted to ever attend English periods, and I scored the least in my class 12 boards. Like, I had 5 subjects: physics, chemistry, maths, computers and English, and I scored the least in English. Don't ask me how much I did because it's really bad. IELTS consists of 4 tests: listening, reading, writing and speaking, which I like to call LRWNS. Now, listening, reading and writing will be held on a separate day and speaking on a separate day. Maybe before, maybe after, depends on your test. Now, in listening, you're given a headset and you hear 4 recordings. You have to simultaneously hear questions and give answers in the paper you're given. The listening test goes for 30 minutes. You're given 10 separate minutes to note down answers from your sheet to the original answer sheet. Guess how much I scored in listening? 9 bands. Now, I did score a perfect 9, but I think scoring 9 bands in listening is not really that hard. It's possible when I have done it, you can do it too. Then there's reading. In reading, you have to solve 3 comprehension passages in 60 minutes. That's it. That's all you have to do. I scored 8.5 in reading. Then there's writing. You'll be asked to write 2 essays in 60 minutes. The first one is a report of around 150 words. You will be given a pie chart or a bar graph or a process diagram. You just have to write down what you see in the picture. Don't assume things, according to me. Stick to the limit. Don't write less than the limit and not even more than the limit. Then there's another essay for 250 words. Fairly simple. I scored 6.5 in writing. I scored the least in writing because I suck at it. Then there's speaking, which will be held on a separate day. It's an interview of 10 to 12 minutes. It consists of 3 sections. You will be asked about your hometown or what you like about your hometown or your family background. Just answer that. I think the second section in speaking is very tough. That's where I got caught. You have to speak for 2 minutes on a topic and you will be given a minute to think about it and have notes about it. But speaking for 2 minutes on a topic, I think was very difficult for me. I couldn't do it. I spoke for I think a minute and 30 or 15 seconds. That's when I stopped and the interviewer was just looking at me and I said I was done. That's why I scored 7.5 in speaking. The third section is I think where I picked up the pace. They ask you questions about what you answered previously, and I did fumble in that, but I really gave sensible and logical answers to that. That's why I scored 7.5. Now, how to score 8 bands in IELTS? Mathematically, out of 36, if you score 31, it will be rounded off to 32 because it will be rounded off to 8 bands. Now, to score 31 marks out of 36, find out your strong points, find out what you're not good at. I was good at listening and reading. I focused on that. I scored 9 and 8.5 and 6.5 and 7.5 in the other 2, which made a total of 9 plus 8.5 plus 6.5 plus 7.5. I scored 8 bands. Okay, I scored 8 bands. Now, some tips for listening. Listen very, very, very carefully. They'll give you 2-3 answers. Just note all of them down. Then strike out the wrong answer when the sentence is finished. Now, before the recording starts, they will give you time to read the questions. Now, do not just read the questions. Try to anticipate what the questions will be about. Lastly, practice 1 listening module every single day for 30 days. That's what I did, and I scored 9 bands. Maybe it will work out for you. Now, in reading, everyone's going to tell you spend 20 minutes in all 3 passages. I didn't do that. I spent 10 to 12 minutes in the first one, 20 to 22 minutes in the second one, and the remaining time in the third one. because as you progress, the passages get tougher. Don't worry about the last passage too much. It's comparatively difficult than the first two ones. Focus on the first two ones more, but don't spend more time on that. Just practice and you'll figure out what's good for you. Now in writing, do not assume how you came up with that line graph or why did that happen. Just write down what is given. Just explain the report, explain the graph, explain the process diagram. Do not assume things. Now in the second essay, I had a really nice trainer to train me for it, but try to write at least 4 paragraphs. The first one will be introduction, in which you give thesis and introduction and background statement and everything. The second one will be body para 1, the third one will be body paragraph 2, and the fourth one will be conclusion. Now the reason I scored 6.5 in writing was I wrote around 370 words. I went way off the limit, that's why I scored less, I think, or I would have scored 8.5. Not really. The reason I scored 7.5 in speaking was I don't really speak much. I only speak when I'm spoken to. That's why I could speak for 2 minutes. So try to speak for 2 minutes straight on a random topic. That's what you have to do. If you nail that, you'll get 8 easily. Because I sucked at it and I spoke for just 1 minute 15 seconds. So speak for 2 minutes and use good vocabulary, which makes sense, of course. Don't just blabber any words you don't know about, like you look pulchritudinous and stuff. Don't do that. Talk to some friends who know what pulchritudinous is, or make friends who know what tough words are. Talk to them. Just do that. I think that's how you score 8 bands in Ielts. Thank you. The video is over. I'll tell you a secret. I scored more than my trainer. Like the person who trained me for Ielts, she gave Ielts and she scored less than me. I mean, I did score 8 bands, which is pretty good. She scored, I think she scored 7.5 or 7. She didn't tell me, but I know she does. I know she scored less than me. IELTS stands for Indian English Language Testing System.
International.
I know it's international, but you know, smart asses will comment that it's international, and they will comment that will increase my reach. So, marketing.